There's many out there that are watching this conversation, and I think they had amazing careers, but at the same time, corporate life, they're feeling stuck. What advice would you give to someone that's kind of like considering, they're entertaining the idea of leaving the corporate world, but they're not quite sure, they're hesitant, that they're like in between? What would you tell them in order to help them make that, take that leap?
I think first things first is it feels insurmountable, and you have to reframe that that's reasonable. It is surmountable at the insurmountable at the moment. Second, I would say you need to get a support system around you and look at your network. And if you need to work either with a therapist or with a coach to really craft out a plan for your life and what works for you, and making big changes, you got to start small. To me, it was, I kind of look back over the last 18 months, and it was a progression of small decisions to get to a bigger decision. It took financial planning. It isn't a small undertaking, but it is possible if you start to work on small decisions. It's kind of like when you wake up and decide today you're going to go to do that workout or you're going to go do that walk. I was feeling unfulfilled and I was missing music in my life. And, I had a really great job at RealPage and I love my clients. I really loved being in strategic accounts at RealPage. But I just felt like I was investing, 50, 60 hours a week on them, and was questioning if I could find another way in my life to have more room for music again in it. So I was working with a coach, James Hilliard, and really working on clarity for my life and really mapping out what would give me meaning in this next phase of life. I would say my daughter graduating from high school is part of that whole canvas of going, okay, now the time. When isn't the time? And so I think life came knocking, and through a series of kind of discontent. And I think that's where the permission doesn't come in. It comes knocking for you sometimes, but you have to actually choose to answer.
When you quit your corporate jobs, did you quit cold turkey, or was it like, where you were doing certain gigs, like certain consulting things on the side while you were still full-time employed?
No, so I took a break, purposeful break. I feel fortunate that I got it. My daughter and I made a decision to mark the moment and take a long road trip together. She was graduating from high school. I was leaving RealPage, so we took a break and did a road trip across the United States up to the Upper Peninsula, and then kind of came back through Denver and Zion and Chicago, and we just had a great time together. And then I spent 90 days knowing I wanted to kind of go out on my own, but then putting it in motion. So part of that was rest. Part of that was daily restorative meditations, aka naps. Sometimes if you're at a large company, and there's nothing wrong with this, you're at a large company, you're in that ecosystem of that large company, you're working hard, you've got your great clients, and I've met some amazing clients there too, but there's some relationships you let go of, not even intentionally. I had a conversation yesterday with someone I hadn't talked to in like 5 years, and we're like, why haven't we talked in 5 years? Like, I miss you. So I would say you're spot on, Adrian. Nurture those relationships, carve out time intentionally, and keep in contact. Life goes fast. It really goes fast, and they're good people, so you don't want to lose that contact.
I'm seeing it, like, I'm literally, it's just like watching a movie when I sit on LinkedIn, and there are a lot of people I just know personally that have dedicated their career, most of their careers, decades sometimes, to particular institutions, and then one day that institution says, we don't have a place for you. And then the next thing that I see is, I see them like starting then to build, I think, their brand online, to reach back out, to start networking. And I'm thinking, if this was always like the case for them, allocate a little time to like keep that network warm and expanding it, how much easier of a transition would have been for them. I
Mm-hmm.
bet it's really devastating, right? Especially when it's not by choice, like you did. And I actually told to them in person, and it's really tough at the beginning.
Never left multifamily and real estate. I always had my job there, but really music was like that outlet. So I've always stayed with it, even though I've been raising my daughter, making mixes at home, just for me and listening to a lot of music. I'm an avid collector, but always wanted to learn how to produce, and I never did, and just really never saw a way to do it. And part of working on this clarity was I wanted to invest in learning how to produce. And so I ended up hiring a music production coach and getting the right equipment. And I've got 13 songs out now, and I've got my first solo EP coming out into this month, and then another 5 that are signed already coming out February to April. So just love it. Love that it's back in my life. And I make really long mixes every week and put those out on SoundCloud and Mixcloud and Spotify and Apple now. So something I do for me and something that really helps reduce anxiety and increase creativity. And I think honestly, it makes my work better in multifamily because I show up in a really creative way.